Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Love to be here.
Well, you guys are off to a phenomenal start to the season. You're 22-15, but really have kind of cranked into high gear here in the Big Ten schedule. And I thought really you turned a lot of heads with that Michigan series, knocking off the Wolverines, who are now ranked number 2 in the country in college softball. But you split that series there for the first time since 1996.
Well, and we played extremely well. I think, we were kind of on a mission going in there. And with the staff that we have, we've played some tough competition, a lot of top 25 teams, and specifically to be able to compete with Michigan. And we not only did that, we came out with a win.
Well, it's manifested itself in a really solid RPI for your team. If the season ended today, the Hoosiers make the field for the NCAA tournament if you judge by RPIs. But like you said, you took on Arizona, you took on Oklahoma, and you took on these teams on the road, not only toughening up your team for the Big Ten schedule, but that RPI is up there too.
Well, and the RPI is real important. If obviously, if we wouldn't win a Big Ten championship, we would, hopefully have a high enough RPI to get into postseason play, which is, kind of the goal. But personally, I want to win the Big Ten. But, I do want to be playing at the end of the season when everyone's going into postseason. I think we've got the staff to do it. It's just a matter of, continuing on the path that we're on.
I was a young man who collected baseball cards as a kid, and whenever you would see the strikeout number on the back of a pitcher's card of 300 strikeouts, I mean, you're in Nolan Ryan, Sandy Koufax, Bob Feller, all-time great, Randy Johnson category. Here we are. You're just, let me use my public school math, 37 games in the season. Morgan Mello's got 303 strikeouts, number 1 in the country in that category.
Yes, she does. She's absolutely phenomenal. She's been solid all year. I feel like, she gets better every outing, and, she's thrown a lot of games, but Morgan is a pitcher who has a potential to, 1, be an All-American, and 2, she takes us to the next level. And I think that is critical in all of this is she has given my team confidence that they needed. And, with her on the mound and when you got to play defense, we played phenomenal defense last weekend, and I think that's the whole key to this is Morgan throws well, we play defense, and then find a way to score runs.
Well, and it's always great to see a student athlete who is there, from day one of a rebuilding project, really start to produce late in a career and help your team win. And you look at that remarkable victory against Michigan and seeing a kid like Sarah Olson. And you inherited a tough situation here at Indiana where you really had to start from scratch. She was one of those first building blocks, and she cranked 2 homers against arguably the best team in the country on the road.
Well, and that is the real bottom line to that is, Sarah was predominantly has been my pitcher. And, it was a lot of pressure, and not that she couldn't handle it, but she's just grown so much as an athlete in the last year. And, Sarah's bottom line, we talked early on, with Morgan coming in, and I'm like, Sarah, you're going to not get as much pitching time. And Sarah looked at me and said, Coach, I do not care. I just want to win. And to me, that's a team player. She is, the epitome of a individual that is selfless, and she wants to win. It doesn't matter how it happens. And, quite frankly, she is absolutely tore up in the Big Ten hitting-wise and, leads my team in batting average. So
I remember meeting you on your first couple of days as the head coach in Indiana doing the introductory interview on IUHoosiers.com, and you were somebody from day one who really wanted to get your program out there. There was a great article written about the program in the Herald Times this week. Your games are now all called on the internet by Dave Valeno, and talk about that increased exposure for your program.
Well, I think it's huge. I think it's when you're talking about recruiting and, exposure across the country, I mean, I want to draw the best athletes in the country here to play ball in Indiana. And I think that helps tremendously. And obviously, we've got a great fan base, and, people are starting to come out and watch and take notice because I was serious about one thing, and that is turning this program around. Morgan is a little jump start because, I felt like we're heading in the right direction. And, she just gave us a lift of confidence that this team is needed because it's real difficult when you haven't had a lot of success to then get on a bandwagon, and all of a sudden the whole team's jumped on and we're rolling.
Well, and there's been some talk about a new stadium, and talk about how important that will be for your softball program as that comes around in the next couple of years. we're going to make it really nice, especially for televised games on the Big Ten Network and BigTenNetwork.com, but how important that will be recruiting-wise and just an environment for fans to come see your team.
Well, I think it's very important. You know, we've been to several places this season. Penn State just built a brand new stadium, which is phenomenal. Michigan has a beautiful stadium. Michigan State just finished one. You know, the bottom line is, when you're talking about recruiting, these kids walk in and they see facilities, and, you know, there is a factor in there, because it's a commitment to the program and a commitment to the coach, and, you know, the things that you want to do as a coach. It's just a big part of it. I mean, right now I use our weight room as an example for a recruiting tool, because that thing is phenomenal, and kids come in here and they're just all jazzed up about being able to use the facility. The north end zone's beautiful. You know, they've done so many great things here in Indiana. I just think this is the time now for baseball and softball, and when we have those things, it will help us. You know, it gives us just that much more push to get kids to come.
All right, how hard does Morgan Mello throw, and how far away is the rubber from home plate?
Morgan throws between 65 and 68, and we're at 43 feet.
So that would be like a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from a baseball bat.
Absolutely.
And so she's throwing one-hitters, striking out 14 a game. It's got to be exciting to watch, and I would imagine she's opened up some eyes when you've taken on some of these teams on the road, too, like, uh-oh, this could be a tough day.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to explain, because it's funny, we played Louisville last week, and they just went in the top 25, and they've got a strong team, and Morgan only had 6 strikeouts, and it was a bad day. She didn't give up an earned run. We lost 1-0. I mean, but 6 strikeouts. Everybody's looking around like, what's wrong with Morgan? Well, nothing was wrong with Morgan. She's just going to have a bad day every once in a while, but a bad day with 6 strikeouts and not an earned run, it's a pretty good day, actually. And just to know that, you know, she competes, she can load the bases and strike out the side, because that's just how competitive she is and talented. I mean, this kid is just walking talent, and she's just amazing to be around. But like I said, she has pulled the rest of the group together and really made them a solid team. And that's what we needed. Just that, between her and Sarah Olson, there's so much leadership there and just a desire to win, and it just feeds. You know, that feeds. People feed into that. And I think that's been, you know, just a huge step for us. But, yeah, strikeouts are crazy.
Well, and I think softball, volleyball, and baseball have really been leaders in this regard with our department when it comes to social media. You've got your own 10-minute, 15-minute show on YouTube, Inside IU Softball with Coach Gardner. You produce it every single week. Dave Leno asks you questions, but you also put in interesting features there. And talk about how that has grown for your program.
Oh, I think it's amazing. I get comments all over the place of just about, oh my gosh, we saw you, or emails, you know, friends of mine that just pull it up randomly. And I just think it's so important to our program, because anyone can see it. And it's across the country, and, you know, it's funny, when we travel and go places, because we've been all over the country, we've been to Palm Springs, ASU, Florida, everywhere we go, we find Indiana people. And we could be standing at a ballpark or standing in a restaurant, and I will have people come up to me and go, oh my gosh, I graduated from Indiana, and they tell me the year, and then it's like they start following us after that. So it's amazing, and just the fans we've pulled in, based on just traveling across the country.
Well, we've got questions from 2 of them, as you can be interactive here today on Social Media Day. This one comes from Pearl Drop. Coach, how do you keep the team focused for the rest of the season, especially with some of this early success?
Well, I think the most important thing for me right now is that we take this one game at a time, and that honestly, no matter what happens, we have to continue to battle, and we have to want to win more than the other team.
All right, Hoosier for Life asks, what is your most memorable moment of coaching so far at Indiana? Got a feeling it happened the last couple of weeks.
Well, beating Michigan is a pretty enormous game.
And you were an All-American at Michigan.
I wasn't an All-American.
Well, didn't you play on the national team? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
I was an ASA All-American. I was Big Ten Player of the Year my senior year.
Okay.
Which
so you were still pretty
100 years ago. Yeah, right. But, you know, Michigan's my alma mater, and I'm very proud to say that, and I'm prouder to say that I beat them at home. I mean, the last time I won a game there, I was in a uniform.
Well, and you look at both softball and baseball and how it's grown in the Big Ten Conference. In the last couple of weeks, the Big Ten Network itself has developed a new show called the Diamond Report, where it covers everything softball and baseball related. Maybe a little too much emphasis on Michigan softball and Minnesota baseball. We can maybe pump the brakes on that as the Hoosiers are competing in both, sending a little message that way. But it's a great way to keep up with the program, see footage of games, and kind of track who's leading the league in different categories.
Oh, I think it's absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you that this obviously is the first institution I've been at that has, the Big Ten Network and has such an awesome media around the whole conference. I think it's amazing. And yes, it helps in recruiting. It helps in all aspects of what it is we do because, sometimes it's easy to look at a volleyball or look at a softball and go, well, they're not one of the big sports, but it's just as much fun. And once people come in, they are drawn to it. Volleyball had how many people travel and follow them to the Sweet 16? I mean, that was amazing all by itself. And, I think it's a lot of it is the media. It's what is being put out there. And we've got a good thing here. And it's absolutely awesome.
Well, you look at the athletic program here at Indiana, the best ever finish in the Learfield Directors' Cup standings in the history of IU athletics, and it traces all the way back to 1993, was 28th. That was in 2002 when the men's basketball team played for the national title. Right now, Indiana sits at 17th, and you look at across the board, our athletic program's doing very well in NCAAs, and it looks like softball is going to find their way in the field, score 25 big points for us, bump us up even a little bit further, crack the top 15. And yeah, you guys have had a remarkable season and can't wait to watch you guys tomorrow as my daughter's throwing out the first pitch.
Yeah, well, you better not jinx me. That's all I have to say right now. And I am excited that your daughter's throwing out the first pitch.
She throws a rise and drop ball all in one.
Gravity.
It'll go straight up in the air and back down. But you're part of the main event today along with baseball. It's a double feature. You're taking on Ohio State at 2 and 4. We're going to be streaming it live on Ustream. It's going to be connected to Dave Leno's call, so they're going to be able to see it on television as well as the baseball broadcast with maybe a lesser broadcaster calling that game. So good luck against Ohio State. How important would it be, especially on a gorgeous day, for people to skip work early and come check you out?
I think it would be absolutely critical. The more people we can have out there, the better.
You can bring your dog to the park today. Bark at the park.
You can bring, absolutely, cats, dogs. We have them all out there. Trust me. I think we have a few deer that sit out and watch in the outfield. But the more the merrier. Come on out and watch. It's a lot of fun. My team is fun to watch, and they are energetic. And to me, it's all about doing the right things and doing it the right way.
Well, check out Inside IU Softball with Coach Gardner on YouTube, on the IU Athletics channel. You can also follow softball on Twitter, and I think of our athletic programs, it's got one of the best Twitter follows as they give in-game updates on scores. Nate Wiekers does a remarkable job that way. Also, where Morgan Mello stands all-time in strikeouts. She's top 10 all-time in the history of the sport. And you can follow softball at IU Softball. You also can follow the voice of the Hoosiers, Dave Leno, at Dave Leno, and he gives you updates on softball. Coach, thanks so much for joining us here on Social Media Day.
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a quick time out. When we return, stick and ball sports, my favorite. When you hit a ball, you want somebody else to go chase. And we're going to talk to another coach who coaches a sport like that, Tracy Smith, the baseball coach in Indiana, right after this quick break.